Part 1. Control what you can. When you look at the challenges of life, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Bills pile up, relationships get complicated, work becomes stressful, and sometimes the world just seems too chaotic to handle. If you're like most people, your first instinct is to try and control as much as you can, to grab onto every loose thread and pull hard, hoping things will fall into place. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most of what happens in life is completely outside your control. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Marcus Aurelius, who ruled the Roman Empire during wars, plagues, and political unrest, had every reason to be consumed by worry. Yet in his meditations, he wrote a line that has echoed through time. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This single sentence captures the first and most important Stoic habit. Control what you can, and let go of what you can't. The illusion of control. Think about how much time and energy we spend worrying about things we'll never influence. We worry about what people think of us. We obsess over the news, even though we have no say in world events. We replay mistakes from the past, hoping somehow our regret will change what already happened. And we daydream about the future, imagining every possible outcome, most of which never come true. This is the illusion of control. It makes us believe that worrying is a form of preparation, when in reality it only steals our peace of mind. The Stoics broke the world into two simple categories. Things within our control, things outside our control. That's it. If something belongs to the first category, then we can act on it. If it belongs to the second, we let it go. For example, within control, your thoughts, your choices, your actions, your values. Outside control, other people's behavior, the economy, the weather, the past, even your reputation. This division may sound overly simple, but it's a powerful filter. Once you start practicing it, you realize how much unnecessary weight you've been carrying. A simple habit to practice. So how do you apply this Stoic wisdom in everyday life? Here's a simple habit you can try. Whenever you feel stressed, pause and ask yourself one question. Is this within my control or outside of it? Imagine you're stuck in traffic and running late for an important meeting. Your stress builds, frustration rises, maybe you even start yelling at the car in front of you. But the Stoic filter cuts through the chaos. Is this within my control? The traffic lights, the other drivers, the clock on the wall. None of that is in your hands. What is in your control is how you respond. Maybe you take a deep breath, use the time to prepare mentally, or simply accept that you'll explain the delay when you arrive. By practicing this, you train your mind to redirect its energy toward what actually matters. Over time, this habit builds resilience because you stop wasting your strength on battles you could never win. Why letting go is strength, not weakness. Now, some people hear this principle and think, doesn't this mean giving up? Doesn't this make me passive? But Stoicism isn't about surrendering. It's about focusing your effort where it counts the most. Think of it this way. A soldier who fights every battle recklessly is not brave, but foolish. True courage is choosing the right battles and fighting them with everything you've got. When you let go of things outside your control, you're not being weak. You're conserving energy for what you can control. Your attitude, your actions, your discipline, your integrity. And those are the things that shape your life more than anything else. Modern applications. Let's take a modern example, social media. It's easy to get caught up in likes, comments, and comparisons. But can you really control how people respond to your post? Not really. What you can control is what you create, how you present yourself, and whether you let other people's approval dictate your self-worth. Or consider relationships. You can't control how someone else feels, what they think, or what choices they make. But you can control how you communicate, how you treat them, and what boundaries you set for yourself. And at work, you can't control the entire economy, your boss's mood, or company policies. But you can control your effort, your skill development, and your attitude toward challenges. When you shift your focus this way, you stop feeling like a victim of circumstance and start becoming the author of your own responses. A daily reminder. The Stoics didn't just think about this once and move on. They reminded themselves daily. Epictetus advised his students to repeat this thought every morning. Some things are up to us and some are not. He knew that without constant practice, the mind slips back into old habits of worry and control. So here's a practical exercise. Write down 3 things that are bothering you today. And then, divide them into 2 lists, within your control and outside your control. For the first list, choose 1 action you can take today. For the second list, practice letting go. This small exercise trains your mind like a muscle. Over time, you'll find yourself less shaken by events and more focused on your own role within them. Why this habit builds strength and focus. When you stop chasing control over the uncontrollable, something amazing happens. Your mind becomes clearer. Instead of being scattered in 1,000 directions, your focus sharpens. You become more grounded, less reactive, more intentional. And strength? Strength isn't about dominating everything around you. It's about standing firm when the world is chaotic, knowing you can handle whatever comes because your attention is anchored where it belongs. This is why Marcus Aurelius could rule an empire without losing his sanity, and why Epictetus, who was born a slave, could live with dignity and freedom. They practiced the habit of control, not of the world, but of themselves. So, the first Stoic habit is this: control what you can, and let go of what you can't. It sounds simple, but if you take it seriously, it can transform your life. Instead of wasting energy on battles you'll never win, you invest in the only territory you truly command, your own mind, your own choices, your own actions. And when you start living this way, strength and focus aren't things you chase. They become natural results of a disciplined mind. In the next part, we'll look at the second Stoic habit, practicing voluntary discomfort. This is where the Stoics teach us how to toughen ourselves against life's hardships before they even arrive. Part 2. Practicing voluntary discomfort. If you've ever felt unprepared when life suddenly hits you with hardship, you're not alone. Most of us move through our days surrounded by comfort. Air conditioning, easy meals, soft beds, endless entertainment. Feels normal, even necessary. But comfort, when taken too far, makes us fragile. When something goes wrong, when we lose a job, when health falters, when money runs short, we panic. We feel like the world is ending. The Stoics knew this weakness well, and they discovered a way to prepare for it. Their method was unusual, even radical. They practiced discomfort on purpose. This is the second Stoic habit, voluntary discomfort. What is voluntary discomfort? Voluntary discomfort means choosing to step outside of comfort even when you don't have to. It means intentionally doing something difficult, unpleasant, or uncomfortable. Not to suffer for no reason, but to strengthen your mind and body for the real struggles of life. Seneca, one of Rome's wealthiest men, practiced this regularly. Despite his riches, he would sometimes dress in coarse clothing and eat the simplest, cheapest food. He asked himself, "Is this what I feared?" By doing so, he reminded himself that even if fortune abandoned him, he could endure. Epictetus, who was born into slavery, taught his students similar lessons. Don't fear discomfort, because discomfort is inevitable. Better to face it on your terms, by training for it, than to be crushed when it arrives uninvited. Why choose discomfort in a comfortable world? Now you might wonder, why would anyone choose discomfort? Isn't life hard enough already? Here's the key: voluntary discomfort isn't about seeking pain or misery. It's about building resilience before you need it. Think of it like exercise. You lift weights not because carrying heavy metal is fun, but because it makes you stronger for the real demands of life. You take a cold shower, not because you enjoy shivering, but because it trains your body and mind to stay calm under stress. When you practice discomfort in small, controlled ways, you create a reservoir of strength. So when life throws real hardships at you, illness, loss, setbacks, you're not caught completely off guard. You've already built the muscle of endurance. Examples of voluntary discomfort. So what does this look like in real life? You don't have to live in the desert or give away all your possessions. The Stoic practice is simple and adaptable. Here are a few examples. Cold showers. A simple daily practice to train your body to handle discomfort calmly. Fasting. Skipping a meal or eating plain food as a reminder that you can survive without indulgence. Minimalism. spending a day wearing your simplest clothes or living with less technology. A physical exertion. Walking long distances, exercising without machines, or carrying heavy things. Digital restraint. Turning off your phone or staying away from social media for a day to reclaim your attention. None of these are extreme, but each one strengthens you in small ways. The point isn't to punish yourself. It's to remind yourself, I don't need constant comfort. I am capable of handling less. The psychological benefit. Voluntary discomfort has a surprising psychological effect. It reduces fear. Think about it. Much of our anxiety comes from imagining worst-case scenarios. What if I lose my job? What if money runs out? What if I can't keep up? The fear itself often feels worse than the reality. Seneca explained this beautifully. We suffer more in imagination than in reality. By practicing discomfort, you test those fears directly. You fast for a day and realize hunger isn't unbearable. You wear simple clothes and realize nobody cares as much as you thought. You walk instead of driving and realize your body is capable. Suddenly, the things you used to fear don't hold the same power. You've experienced them, survived them, and discovered your strength in the process. Building gratitude through discomfort. There's another hidden benefit: gratitude. When you live in constant comfort, you stop appreciating it. A warm meal, a soft bed, clean clothes, they become invisible. But when you practice going without, suddenly those things feel like luxuries again. Take fasting as an example. Skip just one meal and the next time you eat, the food tastes richer. You feel grateful in a way you never did before. Or sleep on the floor for one night, and the next morning your bed feels like a gift. Voluntary discomfort resets your perspective. It reminds you that you don't need much to survive, and that everything beyond survival is a blessing. How to start small. If you're new to this habit, don't overcomplicate it. Start with something simple, something you can repeat consistently. Try one cold shower this week. Skip dessert or fast from dinner to breakfast. Leave your phone in another room for 2 hours. Walk to a destination instead of driving. Spend a day without buying or consuming anything unnecessary. The key is not intensity but consistency. Small doses of discomfort, practiced regularly, gradually rewire your relationship with hardship. From fragile to resilient, we live in a time when comfort is abundant. And while that's a privilege, it comes with hidden costs. Many people are physically weak, mentally fragile, and emotionally unprepared for adversity. When something goes wrong, they collapse. The Stoics offer a different path. By practicing discomfort, we build resilience. We train ourselves to face life head-on, not from a place of fear, but from a place of confidence. We discover that discomfort is not the enemy. It's the teacher. When you know you can endure less, you become stronger with more. And that strength shows up everywhere. In your work, in your relationships, in your ability to stay calm when things fall apart. So, the second Stoic habit is this: practice voluntary discomfort. It's a reminder that life's hardships are not something to dread, but something to prepare for. Every act of chosen discomfort toughens you, sharpens you, and frees you from fear. Seneca practiced it, Marcus Aurelius accepted it, Epictetus taught it. And today you can live it too, not by rejecting comfort entirely, but by stepping out of it often enough to grow. In the next part, we'll explore the third Stoic habit: daily reflection. This is where the Stoics teach us the power of reviewing our thoughts each day, so that focus becomes a way of life, not an accident. Part 3: Daily Reflection. When you think about strength and focus, you might picture discipline in action, lifting weights, enduring hardship, staying calm under pressure. But there's another kind of discipline that is quieter, almost invisible, yet just as powerful: the discipline of reflection. The Stoics understood that without reflection, we wander through life half asleep. We react instead of choosing, we stumble instead of walking with intention. Reflection is the habit that wakes us up. It sharpens the mind, cleans the conscience, and sets the direction for each new day. This is the third Stoic habit: daily reflection. The Stoic practice of reflection. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor philosopher, gave us his Meditations, not as a book meant for others, but as a personal journal. He wrote reminders to himself, notes about patience, about humility, about controlling anger. It wasn't polished, and it wasn't for publication. It was his private way of holding himself accountable. Epictetus, the Stoic teacher, told his students, "When the day is done, do not lie down until you have reviewed your actions 3 times. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? What did I leave undone?" And Seneca, in his letters, described his own nightly practice. He would ask himself, "What illness of mine have I cured today? What vice resisted? In what respect am I better?" These habits weren't just philosophy. They were practical exercises. A Stoic day wasn't complete without reflection. Why reflection matters. So why does reflection matter so much? Because life moves fast. We are flooded with distractions, tasks, emotions, and decisions. Without reflection, the days blur into each other, and years pass without real growth. Reflection is how we hit pause. It's how we notice our patterns, both the good and the bad. It's how we take ownership of our lives instead of blaming everything on luck or circumstance. Think of it like a sailor checking the compass. You could be rowing with all your strength, but if you're heading in the wrong direction, effort alone won't save you. Reflection realigns you with your purpose. Morning reflection. Setting intention. One way the Stoics used reflection was in the morning. Marcus Aurelius often began his day reminding himself what kind of people he would meet. Selfish, rude, arrogant, and difficult. Why start the day like this? Because it prepared him. He didn't expect the world to be perfect. He expected challenges, so he wasn't surprised when they came. Morning reflection can be as simple as asking yourself, what kind of person do I want to be today? What challenges might I face and how will I respond? What virtues do I want to practice? Patience, courage, honesty. This isn't about predicting the future. It's about setting your mind in the right direction before life pulls you off course. Imagine the difference. Waking up and rushing into the day without thought versus taking 5 quiet minutes to ground yourself. The first leaves you reactive. The second makes you intentional. Evening reflection, reviewing the day. The second kind of reflection happens in the evening. Here, the goal is review, to look back with honesty without self-deception. Epictetus said this was like holding court with yourself. Judge your actions, not to punish, but to improve. Seneca would ask himself, where did I fall short? Where did I succeed? What can I do better tomorrow? Evening reflection isn't about guilt. It's about clarity. Think of it as a daily audit of your character. Each day becomes a small step forward, or at least a lesson learned. This practice also frees you from the weight of regret. Instead of carrying mistakes silently, you bring them into the light, learn from them, and let them go. How to practice daily reflection. So how do you apply this Stoic habit in a modern life filled with phones, meetings, and endless noise? The answer is, keep it simple. Here's one way. 1. In the morning, write down one intention. Example, today I will practice patience when things go wrong. 2. In the evening, ask 3 questions. What did I do well? Where did I fall short? What can I improve tomorrow? That's it. No need for pages of writing. Just a few sentences. If you do this consistently, the effect builds over time. You can also adapt reflection without writing. Some people reflect silently before bed. Others talk it out in prayer or meditation. The form doesn't matter. What matters is that you face yourself honestly every day. The hidden power of reflection. Reflection isn't just about personal growth. It also strengthens focus. Think about how many times you've made the same mistake simply because you never paused to learn from it. Without reflection, you repeat patterns unconsciously. With reflection, you catch them and adjust. That saves enormous mental energy. Reflection also sharpens self-awareness. You begin to notice your triggers, your habits, your strengths. That awareness is the foundation of discipline. You can't control yourself if you don't first understand yourself. And finally, reflection builds humility. It reminds us that no matter how much we achieve, we are always students of life. There is always room to grow. reflection in a distracted age. Now, here's the challenge. We live in a time when reflection is harder than ever. The moment life slows down, we reach for our phones. Silence feels uncomfortable, so we fill it with noise. But silence is exactly where reflection lives. Without it, your mind never rests, never reviews, never sees clearly. This is why guarding time for reflection is so important. 5 minutes in the morning, 5 at night. That's all it takes. But those 10 minutes can transform your focus more than hours of mindless productivity. A story to illustrate. Imagine two people. The first wakes up, rushes through the day, reacts to every email, every notification, every problem. At night, they collapse into bed, exhausted but unclear. Did they live with purpose? Did they grow? They don't know, they never asked. The second person starts their day with a pause. Today I will practice patience. The day still brings chaos, delays, arguments, stress, but they remember their intention. At night, they reflect. I lost my temper in the afternoon, but I caught myself later. Tomorrow I'll pause earlier. Day by day, this person grows stronger, calmer, more focused. The difference isn't talent or luck, it's reflection. So, the third Stoic habit is this: practice daily reflection. It doesn't require hours of meditation or writing. Just a few minutes of honesty each day, to set your direction in the morning, and to review your steps in the evening. Do this consistently, and your life stops being a blur. It becomes deliberate. You begin to see yourself clearly, to learn from mistakes, and to grow intentionally. The Stoics believed that greatness wasn't found in grand moments, but in small, daily disciplines. Reflection is one of those disciplines, quiet, simple, but profoundly powerful. In the next part, we'll explore the fourth Stoic habit: guarding your attention. This is where the Stoics remind us that focus is our most valuable resource, and that protecting it is the key to strength in a distracted world. Part 4, guarding your attention. If there is one thing that defines our modern age, it's distraction. Our phones buzz, our inboxes overflow, the news cycle never ends, and our thoughts are constantly pulled in 100 directions. We tell ourselves we're busy, but often we're just scattered. And in that scattered state, we lose something far more valuable than time. We lose attention. The Stoics may not have had smartphones, but they understood this problem very well. Their world was also noisy, filled with gossip, politics, and temptations. Seneca, in one of his letters, warned, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." He saw that most people fritter away their lives not by choice, but by distraction. This is why the fourth Stoic habit is so critical: guarding your attention. Attention as a precious resource. Think about attention as the currency of your life. Wherever your attention goes, your life goes. If you give it to shallow things, your life becomes shallow. If you invest it in meaningful pursuits, your life gains depth. The Stoics treated attention as sacred. They believed the mind was a kind of fortress, and if you left the gates open, anyone could storm in: rumors, fears, anger, envy. Guarding your attention was about keeping that fortress secure. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "Do not waste the remaining part of your life in thoughts about others, when you do not refer your thoughts to some object of common utility. For you lose the opportunity of doing something else, when you dwell on what so-and-so is doing." In other words, stop worrying about what others are saying or doing. Focus on what matters in your own path. The modern battle for focus. Fast forward to today, and this advice feels even more urgent. Entire industries compete for your attention. Apps, advertisers, and algorithms are designed to keep you scrolling, watching, consuming. Every notification is a small thief knocking on the gate of your mind. And here's the danger. Attention, once lost, is hard to regain. Studies show that after being distracted, it takes several minutes to fully refocus. Multiply that by dozens of interruptions a day, and you can see why so many people feel exhausted yet unproductive. The Stoic approach is simple but radical. Treat your attention like a treasure. Protect it fiercely. Practical ways to guard your attention. So, how can you apply this Stoic habit in your own life? Here are a few practices inspired by their wisdom, adapted for our age. 1. Create attention rituals. Choose blocks of the day where you remove distractions completely. Turn off notifications, put your phone in another room, and focus deeply on one task. Even one focused hour is more valuable than 3 hours of scattered work. 2. Limit mental junk food. Just as the Stoics warned against idle gossip, today we can warn against endless scrolling. Ask yourself, is this content helping me grow, or is it just noise? Curate what you allow into your mind. 3. Say no more often. Seneca reminded us that time is the most precious thing we have, and yet we hand it away too freely. Guarding attention means learning to say no, to commitments, to conversations, to invitations that don't align with your values. 4. Single task instead of multitasking. The Stoics valued presence, being fully engaged in the moment. When you eat, just eat. When you work, just work. Multitasking is a myth that scatters your mind. Focus is what strengthens it. 5. Guard your mornings. Many Stoics emphasized starting the day with clarity. Instead of reaching for your phone the moment you wake up, use that time for reflection, planning, or silence. The first moments of the day set the tone for all that follows. Attention and inner peace. Guarding your attention isn't just about productivity. It's about peace of mind. Think about how anxious you feel when your attention is pulled in 1,000 directions. You can't think clearly, you can't rest, you feel stretched thin. But when you take back control of your attention, you feel centered, calm, present. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to withdraw into the inner citadel, the quiet space within that no one could disturb. That citadel is built when you choose what enters your mind and what does not. A story to illustrate. Imagine a farmer with a field. If he lets anyone walk through it, trample the soil and scatter weeds, the field will soon be useless. But if he guards it carefully, planting only what is good, nurturing it with patience, it will flourish. Your attention is that field. If you let every distraction, every gossip, every trivial worry trample it, your life won't bear fruit. But if you guard it and plant wisely, your life will grow strong and meaningful. A simple Stoic exercise. Here's a practice you can try tonight. Take a piece of paper and divide it into 2 columns. On the left, write down where your attention went today. Be honest, social media, news, conversations, tasks. On the right, write where you wish your attention had gone. Compare the 2 lists. That gap is your opportunity. Each day, try to close it by guarding your attention more carefully. The cost of scattered attention. The Stoics were deeply aware of mortality. They knew that life is short, and every wasted moment is gone forever. Seneca wrote, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Scattered attention is scattered life. If you don't guard your focus, you will spend your years chasing trivialities while neglecting what truly matters. And one day, looking back, you'll realize the cost. But the opposite is also true. Guarded attention is a guarded life. It allows you to pour your energy into what matters most. Your values, your growth, your loved ones. So, the 4th Stoic habit is this: guard your attention. In a world that profits from distraction, focus becomes a superpower. The Stoics remind us that the mind is a fortress. It is our duty to defend it, not let it be overrun. If you learn to control your attention, you not only become more productive, you become calmer, stronger, and more alive. Because your attention, more than anything else, determines the shape of your life. In the final part, we'll explore the 5th and perhaps most profound Stoic habit, memento mori, remembering that you will die. Far from being dark, this practice reveals how precious life is, and how to focus on what truly matters. Part 5, remember you will die. If the earlier Stoic habits, self-reflection, emotional regulation, discipline, and guarding your attention, are tools for daily life, then this last one is the foundation that gives them meaning. Without it, they're just strategies. With it, they become a way of living fully. The final Stoic habit is perhaps the hardest to face, but also the most powerful, memento mori, remember that you will die. Why death is the greatest teacher. First, this sounds grim. Who wants to think about death? Our culture does everything it can to hide it. We push it to the margins, treat it as taboo, even act like it won't happen to us. But the Stoics thought differently. To them, death was not a dark shadow to avoid, but a bright light that reveals what truly matters. Seneca once wrote, "Let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Let us balance life's books each day." In other words, live with death in mind, not to be afraid, but to be awake. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." He wasn't being morbid. He was reminding himself that knowing life is temporary forces us to live with clarity, urgency, and integrity. The modern fear of mortality. In our world, it's easy to forget that we're mortal. Medicine, technology, and entertainment create the illusion that life is endless, or at least that death is something distant. But when we forget our mortality, we also forget urgency. We delay dreams. We waste time. We argue about trivial things. The Stoics believed that remembering death is not about sadness. It's about freedom. When you accept that your time is limited, you no longer waste it. When you know you won't live forever, you start to live more fully. Memento mori as a daily practice. So how can you actually practice memento mori without being overwhelmed by fear or sadness? Here are some Stoic-inspired approaches. 1. Morning reminder. Begin each day by acknowledging, "This day is a gift. It is not guaranteed I will see tomorrow." Instead of making you gloomy, this thought helps you prioritize what matters most today. 2. Evening reflection. Before bed, review your day and ask, "If this were my last day, did I live as I wanted?" This isn't about regret, but about aligning your life more closely with your values. 3. Visual symbols. Many Stoics kept physical reminders of mortality. A skull on the desk, a phrase written on the wall, a coin engraved with memento mori. These symbols weren't morbid. They were anchors that kept them from drifting into forgetfulness. 4. Gratitude in the moment. When you feel annoyed or restless, remind yourself, someday you won't be here. Someday the people around you won't be here. That reality makes even ordinary moments precious. Living with urgency, not panic. Memento mori doesn't mean rushing through life or chasing frantic goals. It means urgency without panic. Think about the difference between someone who procrastinates endlessly and someone who is aware of time's limits. The procrastinator says, "I'll do it someday." The Stoic says, "Someday may never come, so I will start now." Seneca wrote, "While we are postponing, life speeds by." He urged us to act, not delay. That doesn't mean living recklessly. It means living deliberately, choosing what matters most and not waiting for the perfect time. The gift of perspective. When you practice memento mori, you gain perspective. Suddenly, small annoyances shrink in importance. The argument in traffic? Trivial. The missed email? Forgettable. When viewed against the backdrop of death, almost everything petty fades away. At the same time, what is essential shines more brightly. The people you love, the work that fulfills you, the small joys of being alive. This perspective is what allowed Stoics to remain calm in the face of setbacks. They knew that nothing is guaranteed, and so every moment was to be lived with presence and gratitude. A story to reflect on. Picture this: you're holding an hourglass. Sand is slipping through, grain by grain. Once it falls, you can't turn it back. The Stoics believed life works the same way. Each day, each moment is a grain of sand. The question is not how much sand is left, because none of us can know that. The question is, what will you do with the sand that remains? By keeping the hourglass in mind, you make different choices. You speak kinder words, you waste less time, you pursue what matters. That's the power of memento mori. Facing death to free yourself. One of the most radical Stoic ideas was this: if you make peace with death, no one can control you. Think about it, so much of our fear, our hesitation, our compromises, comes from clinging to comfort and fearing the end. But if you've already accepted death, then life becomes freer. Epictetus said, "I cannot escape death, but at least I can escape the fear of it. This habit, remembering death, is not about losing joy. It's about finding courage. When you're no longer afraid of the end, you're free to live with strength, clarity, and focus. A simple challenge. Here's a challenge. For 1 week, begin each day by reminding yourself, this could be my last day. How do I want to live it? Notice how this changes your choices. Maybe you speak more gently. Maybe you take a risk you've been postponing. Maybe you stop wasting hours on things that don't matter. That's the transformation memento mori can bring. Closing reflections on the 5 habits. So now we've walked through the 5 Stoic habits to stay strong and focused. 1. Self-reflection, examining your thoughts and actions daily. 2. Emotional regulation, mastering your responses rather than being mastered by them. 3. Discipline in action, doing what is right, not just what is easy. 4. Guarding your attention, treating focus as a treasure. 5. Memento mori, remembering death to live more fully. Each of these is powerful on its own. Together, they form a philosophy of life, not abstract theory, but daily practice. The Stoics didn't just want to think differently. They wanted to live differently. And these habits can help us do the same. Final thought. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." Memento mori reminds us to begin living today, not tomorrow. To focus on what matters. To let go of distractions. To be strong in the face of trials. To meet life with courage and gratitude. If you take anything from this journey through Stoic habits, let it be this: life is short, but it can be wide and deep if you live with intention. So guard your mind, regulate your emotions, act with discipline, protect your focus, and remember always, one day, you will die. And because of that truth, today matters more than ever.